Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Another audio upgrade on a classic car, and this time it's one of mine. It's a 1990 registered Mercedes-Benz 190e 2.5 16 valve. Quite a bit of a mouthful there. The audio needs help. It's the original 1990s Blaupukt radio cassette. For some of you that don't know what a cassette is, I'll show you that in a moment. Got the original stock speakers on the dash and on the rear shelf. And I think it's time to bring the tech up to the 21st century. So yes, audio and security upgrade in my Mercedes 190e 2.5 16 valve. This car even retains its factory stickers showing that it's got the Blaupukt stereo, which has got a code. So for those of you that don't know, the original stereos, the Blaupukt, if you disconnect the battery, when you reconnect the battery, you have to enter a 4 or 5 digit code. That sort of stops theft, because if you stole the stereo, you wouldn't know the code. The code's always in the instruction manual. It even has a sticker saying it's fitted with a Mercedes-Benz alarm system. It's actually an immobilizer, and that immobilizer was pulled out a long time ago. So we have the original Montreal CR40 made by Blaupukt, 1990 stereo. It's seen better days. The buttons here are all missing. The radio does work. I've never actually checked the cassette. So yeah, we've got some hiss there. The radio does work. Let's check if the cassette works. Nothing, nothing. Well, the cassette deck doesn't work. So definitely does need an audio upgrade. And for those of you that don't know, this is what a cassette looks like. It's actually a pretty good cassette. It's a TDK AD90. So it's not the entry level, which was the D90. So good cassette, but the stereo does not work. In terms of speakers, we have, from what I believe is a 10 centimeter circular speaker on the dash, and we've got some original Blaupukt Blue Spot 10 centimeter speakers on the rear deck. There is no bass, there's no subwoofer in this car, so it's a very teeny sound which lacks any bass, and all I can really listen to is radio. There's no obviously USB, there's no Bluetooth, there's no DAB. So the plan today is to replace the original Blaupukt stereo with an up-to-date Blaupukt stereo, which will be the Bremen SQR46 stab. I'm sure some of you have seen that before, but you'll get to see it again. We're going to change the stock speakers, front and rear. That's in the stock location, but use something a lot better. We're going to add some bass, we're going to add a 5-channel amplifier, and we're going to add some security as well. So a Thatcham Cat 1 alarm system. So first things first, I'm going to let the engineers jump on the car. They'll have the audio ripped out in a matter of minutes. I'll be back shortly, show you the OEM equipment that's come out of the car and show you the new equipment that's going in, and then we'll let them install the equipment and we'll do a sound check and a security check right at the end of this episode. Let's get into it. Right, I am back for an update. The engineers have already stripped the car, and they have actually found the remains of an old alarm system. It's a Scorpion alarm system. It's no longer connected, but there's a load of wiring that was half connected. There's no key fobs with the car, so it's actually not doing anything. So the original Scorpion alarm that was fitted probably back in the 90s has been removed. There's some of the loom. We've had to pull all of that out because the last thing you want is just excess cabling doing nothing. Can actually be quite dangerous. And we are fitting an up-to-date Clifford Concept 650 Mark III. This is a Thatcham Category 1 alarm system, fully insurance approved, so you may benefit from some insurance discounts. The advantage of the insurance approved alarms, including the Cliffords, is that all the cabling is black. So from a thief's perspective, trying to break into the car, first you're going to have a siren going off, and then secondly, trying to work out where the cables go is nigh on impossible. We've got 2 mobilization cuts. Obviously, we're not going to tell you what parts of the vehicle we're cutting. You've got 2 key fobs, you've got a separate siren, it's got a separate battery backup. So that will be fitted into the car. For some of you that remember Clifford from the 90s and from the noughties, you remember stuff like the Clifford 50, the 50X, and also the Concept 300. This is basically the latest version of that. Now let's talk audio. So I've already shown you the Blaupukt Montreal that was in the car. That's now been removed. We are fitting the ever so popular Blaupukt SQR46 DAB. You're all familiar with that. The Bremen head unit, 3 preamps. It's mechless, so there's no CD or cassette mechanism, but you do have a USB aux and an SD card slot. Very good unit, up to date, retro looks and loads of features. Speakers wise, front dash, original Blaupukt 10 centimeter speakers, 40 watt, which have seen better days. Paper cone, destroyed, very sticky, sounded pretty poor anyway. These are dual cone, so they're not two-way. Rears, it's actually the same speaker, but in a ring. We're going to be replacing the fronts with a set of APX4s, which are the same size, but you've got the outer collar, which you will clip off. They will go in the front, these are two-way. And in the back, we're fitting a slightly bigger version of that, the 13 centimeter APX5. Again, two-way, 5-channel amplifier, the Audison SR5.600. The front channels and the rear channels on the amp will be connected to the front and rear speakers. And the rear channel, the mono channel, will run this subwoofer box, which you've seen on the channel before, the AP-BX10DS, shallow mount sub box, plenty of bass. You could go slightly smaller, you could go for an 8-inch, but there is a petrol tank in between the rear seat and the boot area, so I want to try and get a bit more bass into the car, hence why I'm going for a 10-inch. Obviously, we're using loads of new speaker cable, power cable, and so on. I will be back at the end of this episode. I'll show you the alarm working, give you some of the features of the alarm, and we'll do a sound check as well. See you guys in a bit. So, audio and security upgrade in the 190E is now all done. Before we get into the audio, let's talk about the security. So we have added a Clifford Concept 650 alarm, which is, as I mentioned to you earlier, is Thatcham Category 1 approved. This car does have factory central locking, so we wired it into that. And we found an old window module, which was connected to the previous alarm. Now, normally we wouldn't use old components because they could fail and ultimately we would have to warranty them, but we've tested that window module, it works. So you're walking away from the car, you arm it, it's now central locked, and the windows go up, plus also the sunroof closes. So it's a bit like total closure. In 30 seconds, the immobilizer will kick in. There is no way you can bypass this Clifford alarm. Yes, you could pick it up and put it on a low loader, but the alarm will then go off. So we have full security now on the car. So the car is now fully protected. Being a classic car and the values of these cars, you need an element of security. Let's unlock it. Now, audio. So in the dash here, we have the Audison APX4s. So they are two-way speakers that I showed you earlier on. They've gone in the OEM original location and we've used the original grille. So nobody knows that we've actually upgraded the front speakers. The rear deck. Now, the car came with 4-inch speakers. We've actually gone slightly bigger. We've gone with the APX5, which is a 5-inch speaker. You can't use the original grills. So we've used some aftermarket grills. It's a 5¼ inch grill, but it looks OEM. You could just use the same speakers that we fitted in the front and then use the original grill that come with the car. Totally up to you. We'll talk about money and costs shortly. Bass. Here we have the Audison 10-inch AP-BX10DS, 10-inch subwoofer, which is downward firing, so the subs on the bottom section of the box. It has Velcro, so it is removable if you need to use the whole of the boot space. You can in fact throw a set of golf clubs on top of the box. You're not going to damage the box. Now, when it comes to sound deadening on classic cars, there are some people that don't like to add it, because when you open the tailgate, it's visible in areas which are hidden, say behind the number plate. It's not so bad, it's not off-putting. I'm going to be selling this car at some point, and the last thing I want is a potential new owner coming, having a look at the car and finding fault with sound deadening. So I've not added any. We do recommend it, and if it comes to selling the car, the new owner wants some sound deadening, I'll add some in then. Amplifier, let me show you the amp. So we've got an Audison 5-channel amplifier, the SR5.600, and we've managed to conceal it underneath the rear bench, which would sit here, but obviously I wanted to show you where the amp is. All the cables are routed nice and neatly underneath there, so the bench will just sit back and hide the amplifier. Now, let's have a sound check, and I'll show you the stereo at the same time. Aesthetically, it's perfect for this car. You can even change the illumination color to match the illumination color in your car. In this case, it's amber. Remember, we've got DAB, we've got FM, we've got USB, we've got SD card input, we've got aux input, and we've got Bluetooth for phone calls and Bluetooth streaming. So all the features you really need for the modern world. I'm going to play a track which is YouTube friendly, and we'll start off with low volume and no bass. I have a bass controller just here that's mounted on the underside of the dashboard panel, and we'll turn that up slowly as the bass kicks in. So let's go. Okay, nice and sharp, crystal clear. We have good balance front and back. It's not overpowering. Remember, we've got slightly bigger speakers on the back, but the back is not overpowering the front. Now, let me bring in some bass. Nice. Nice amount of bass as well. Oh wow, yes. Turn it up a notch. Fantastic. I've got to say, I'm just going to turn it down. I've got to say the top end is nice and sharp, crystal clear. You've got some mid-range, and you've got the depth with the bass, which you can feel throughout the car. It's not overpowering. You know, this is not a car where you want to be heard outside of the car. It's all about the listening environment inside the cabin. So in terms of audio, fantastic, crystal clear. Now, obviously you might be listening, you might be watching on your phone, and the clarity might not come across as well. But believe you me, this sounds nice and sharp, and the bass definitely has depth. So total cost for the build, as you see it here, with the slightly bigger speakers on the rear shelf and the grills, all the wiring and so on, is about £1,700. The labor for this build with the bigger speakers will be about £750. Now, if you were to change it slightly and go for the smaller speakers in the back, obviously that will bring the cost down of the products, and it'll probably bring the labor down as well, because we don't need to remove the rear shelf. The alarm is separate. The alarm price varies on the car. Typically on a car like this, as long as your central locking is working, you're looking at around £800, give or take. If there's an alarm already installed in the vehicle, probably an additional amount to remove that alarm, get rid of all that nasty wiring. If you're interested in an alarm, we suggest you just drop us an email and we can quote accordingly. But so there you have it, my 190E 2.5 16 valve. The tech has been brought up to date. Sounds absolutely brilliant, fantastic. Now, all the products that we've used in this car, there are separate links down below in the description to the Car Security website. If you have any questions about this install, or if you've got another classic car, be it Mercedes, Porsche, BMW, Volkswagen, our email contact details are down below. Just drop us an email, give us a DM on Instagram, or just pick up the phone and give us a call and we can have a discussion. But yeah, I'm really satisfied with the audio in this. It's really transformed the car and has brought the tech up to the 21st century. As I said earlier, this car will be going up for sale at some point in the new year. If you're interested, drop me a DM direct at rajsenga911. Make sure you smash the like button. About 30% of you are subscribers to the channel, so there's an awful lot of you that watch our content but don't actually hit the subscribe button. So I'd personally appreciate it if you can hit the subscribe button now. Before we go, thanks for watching, and I am going to carry on listening to the new tech in my car.